Students today suffer from many different kinds of pressure, whether it be academic or social. Social pressure often comes back to the fear of missing out, where you are afraid that your friends are moving on past you because you don't get invited to events or other things that they're doing. The National Library of Medicine says that the fear of missing out is characterized by the desire to stay continually connected with what others are doing. It may exist as an episodic feeling that occurs in mid-conversation, as a long-term disposition, or a state of mind that leads the individual to feel a deeper sense of social inferiority, loneliness, or intense rage. The fear of missing out is also considered to be tied to social media, where you see, like I said earlier, people doing things without you, and that can affect your mental health, your sleep, and sometimes even your physical health. I had the opportunity to sit down with somebody, and they told me about their struggles with social pressure.
I would say the fear of missing out influences the choices I make in friendships and social events, because if I don't go, then I feel like later I will have wished that I had gone, and I'll feel just kind of left out. Social media will make me feel that I'm not measuring up to my peers, just because I'll see that what they're accomplishing and kind of wish that I had that, but I'm not always there. In one of the friend groups that I'm in, I'm kind of like an oddball out, so sometimes it's just kind of hard relating to everything. I would say I compare myself to people on social media quite a bit, and it just kind of makes me feel like I'm not achieving everything that other people are, and it just makes me feel kind of behind. I would say that I have pretended to be happy to fit in. I feel like I have to attend all the events and hang out with friends so I'm accepted socially. With different friend groups, it's different kind of vibes, so you kind of feel like you have to match whoever you're hanging out with depending on who you're hanging out with. It's hard, especially now with senior year, because most of your friends are going to go off to different colleges or go into a trade, so it's kind of hard maintaining those friendships after that. I would say that I felt kind of disconnected from my peers even if I'm with them, just because, again, with feeling kind of the odd one out, it just feels like you're not fully there on the same page. Social milestones contribute to my fear of falling behind, because I feel like if I'm not achieving those, then I'm not kind of being where I'm supposed to be. I've avoided social events because of the expectation to act a certain way. The most difficult part about maintaining friendships with everyone with different goals is that you're all kind of going different directions, and it's hard to keep in touch with that sometimes. I feel like if I disconnected from societal expectations and social media, my life would probably change for the better socially, because I'm not as worried with all of that.
Academic pressure, much like social pressure, affects a lot of students. I often see people in the honors classes struggling with academic pressure, saying that they are constantly worried about their grades and testing and will often stay up really late working on homework to not let their teachers down. Austin Hacker wrote his honor thesis at the Eastern Kentucky University. He's saying that if you keep placing gifted students with other gifted students, they'll do nothing but compare themselves to each other, which will worsen their mental state and make it so they feel like they're not doing as well as their peers are, and they have to constantly be studying and forgetting other things like their social lives and even their health. The University of Nebraska released a paper saying, "Our students regularly articulate fears and anxieties and doubt their abilities, and tell us about barriers that impede their progress." When you have a school coming out and saying that their students are coming to them about struggling with different things with their mental health because of academics, there's a problem. I had the opportunity to sit down with one of my friends from school who's in a lot of the honors and AP classes, and she told me about her struggles with academic pressure and what it does to her and how it affects her life and her personal life.
Academic success for me probably means being able to achieve my career, obviously, but then also having something to brag about, to be honest. It affects my everyday life because I put a lot of pressure on myself to make sure that I am successful in my academics. It's always been the driving force for me personally. It impacts me a lot because it takes up a lot of my time. I have been struggling quite a bit in the past couple of months, and when I see all of my peers who aren't necessarily struggling, it really takes a hit on my mental health, just because I feel like I'm falling behind in every way. My mind feels like it's blocked, and that's never happened to me before, so it was a really big setback for me. I do compare my academic success to the success of others a lot. And for me, what that means is I look at other people's grades and how they're academically successful and achieving many great things, and I don't want to be jealous of them. That's never my goal, because I want to encourage my peers as much as I can. But internally, it always makes me a little bit jealous, because I know that for me, I have to work really hard in order to succeed and do the things that I want to. And so for me, it has always been a goal of mine to be on a different level than my peers academically, and sometimes it's just not achievable. And so I guess what that does for me is it just makes things harder. When teachers or overseers or coaches, they want your thing to be the priority over everything else, it's extremely overwhelming and stressful. I stay out studying as much as I can before I physically cannot stay awake anymore. Socially, I do have to miss quite a few things with friends and family and stuff, because I'll have to be at the table studying all the time. When my family comes for the weekend, most of the time I have to take time away from them in order to be able to go and try and achieve some academic things. Health-wise, I have made myself physically sick because I've stayed up so late studying or stressing about a test that was the next day. Teachers have said something in a manner of like, oh, I need you guys to do well on this state test, or oh, I need you guys to do well on this exam because it looks good on my record. And I think me with a lot of other students, it makes us feel more like a statistic than an actual human being. When I do bad on a quiz or a test or an exam, for instance, I feel like I have let them down in every way possible. And so I really take that to heart, and that totally degrades me. I feel awful after that. I have multiple tests today, multiple quizzes, a lot of things happening in a day, and then I also have things after school. So looking at all of that all at once is a really overwhelming process. And so when I'm going to these classes, I'm always thinking about the next thing that's going to happen, or the next test, or the next quiz. And it causes me really to not be in focus, and it becomes very overwhelming and stressful with all the voices telling me that I need to do well on this test, I need to do well on this quiz, I need to do well on this exam. You feel like you can't succeed without doing well on all of these things. If academic grades weren't the measure of success, I think I would be learning a lot more. Not just learning to the test, not just learning to what I'm asked to know, but actually learning the material and absorbing it and understanding it.
Sometimes the best way to deal with this pressure is to step back. For some of us, that's disconnecting from social media and the constant comparisons to others. For others of us, it's learning that saying no is okay and not pile so much onto your plate. But whatever that is, finding balance is the most important way for you to live a happier life. Sometimes less is more, and moving forward starts with letting go.